Have you ever felt truly lost? It began on a quiet afternoon in the heart of Kenya's Masai Mara. The golden sun hung low, casting long shadows across the savanna as the animals began their evening routines. Herds grazing, birds calling, and the wind whispering through the tall grass. But deep within the reserve, something was terribly wrong. A little girl, no older than 6, wandered barefoot through the bush. Her clothes were torn, her cheeks stained with tears and dirt. Her name was Amina. She had been with her parents on safari when their vehicle veered off the trail. A sudden mechanical failure, a panicked shuffle, and in the chaos, Amina slipped away unnoticed. She had walked for hours, all alone. With each passing minute, the jungle grew louder, scarier, and more unfamiliar. She called for her parents over and over, her tiny voice swallowed by the vastness around her. By dusk, she had no strength left. Her knees buckled, and she collapsed near a dry riverbed, her sobs quieting into exhausted gasps. She clutched her small stuffed lion toy, dirty but still held tightly in her arms. Unbeknownst to her, she wasn't alone. Hidden beyond the tall grass, watching silently with piercing amber eyes, was a lion. But this wasn't just any lion. He was known by the rangers as Maru, a dominant male in the region, feared by predators and respected by all who saw him. He was massive, with a dark mane that rippled with every breath, and scars across his face that told stories of battles long won. Yet, there was something different about Maru. Years ago, as a cub, he had been caught in a poacher's snare, his leg badly wounded, his life hanging by a thread. But it was a human, a ranger named Jonah, who had found him. Jonah had risked everything to rescue the cub, nurse him back to health, and release him into the wild when he was strong again. Maru never forgot that memory. The kindness of hands that healed, of voices that didn't hurt, lingered somewhere deep in his instinct. So when he heard the child's cry that afternoon, something stirred within him. At first, he stayed back, watching, listening, assessing. The girl was not a threat. She was small, weak, lost, vulnerable, and something else familiar. Maru stepped forward, his massive paws crushing the grass beneath him. He emerged slowly from the shadows, each step careful, deliberate, his eyes never leaving the child. And just as he reached the edge of the riverbed, Amina looked up, her breath caught in her throat. She froze, her eyes widened, unable to scream. A lion, towering, muscular, close enough that she could hear his breath. Her toy fell from her hand, but the lion didn't charge. He sat just a few feet away. Maru lowered himself to the ground, eyes fixed on her, his posture calm, protective. For several long seconds, neither of them moved. The only sound was a breeze and the girl's uneven breathing. Then, something unbelievable happened. The lion let out a deep, guttural grunt. Not a roar, but a sound almost like a huff, as if to say, "You're safe." Amina blinked. Her fear didn't vanish, but her body relaxed ever so slightly. She curled into a ball, too weak to run, too tired to cry. Maru didn't move. Instead, he lay beside her, not close enough to touch, but close enough to guard. Time passed. Elsewhere in the reserve, panic had spread. Jonah, now a senior ranger, had been radioed about the missing child. Search teams had mobilized. Jeeps combed the paths, and helicopters scanned from above. But with nightfall approaching, hope was fading. Jonah felt a deep sinking feeling in his chest. This land was wild, it could be cruel, and if any predator found the girl first. Then the radio crackled. A report from a tracking drone. Heat signatures near the dried riverbed. One large, one small, moving together. Jonah's heart stopped. He jumped into his jeep and sped off. Back at the riverbed, the sky turned a soft purple. Stars began to twinkle awake, and the jungle sounds grew louder. But Maru stayed still. Every rustle, every chirp, he listened to, watched, alert. Amina had fallen asleep, her tiny body curled like a leaf beneath him. Then came headlights. A jeep tore through the grass, its engine humming low. The lion stood immediately, placing himself between the vehicle and the child. His posture was no longer soft. It was powerful, commanding. Jonah stepped out. His flashlight landed on the two figures, the lion and the girl, and for a moment he forgot to breathe. It was him. Maru, the lion he had saved so many years ago, now standing watch over a child as if repaying a debt he had never been asked to pay. Jonah raised his hand, slowly, approaching. "Easy, old friend," he whispered. "It's me." Maru blinked and then, unbelievably, stepped aside as Jonah knelt beside Amina, gently scooping her into his arms. The lion backed away into the shadows. One last glance, one slow blink, and then he was gone, back into the wild. Amina stirred in Jonah's arms. But the real story is so much deeper and more impactful than just what happened that quiet afternoon in the Masai Mara. This isn't just a tale of a lost girl and a lion who watched over her. It's a testament to the unexpected bond between species, the power of kindness, and the love that can linger deep within the recesses of memory. Maru's protective behavior toward Amina went beyond mere survival instinct. It was an echo of the compassion shown to him years earlier by a human being, Jonah. Jonah's act of rescuing Maru as a cub had left an indelible mark on that little lion's heart, and now, years later, that kindness was being returned in the most unexpected way. Think for a moment, under the harsh laws of the wild, how extraordinary is it for a predator to show such tenderness toward a creature it would instinctively hunt? This event reveals that nature isn't just a battleground. It's also a place where incredible connections and unexpected acts of heroism can unfold. Amina's story deeply resonated not only with the local people, but with the entire world. Newspapers splashed it across their front pages, and television channels recounted this miraculous rescue for days. People were awestruck by the incredible protective instinct shown by a wild animal toward a human child. Thousands of messages flooded social media, with people expressing how this event conveyed a message of hope and goodness. However, behind this story lies a profound pain and anxiety experienced by Amina's family. From the very first moments they realized their daughter was missing during the safari, the desperation they felt was indescribable. Hours of agonizing waiting, the tireless efforts of the search teams, and the ever-increasing fear for them. Time seemed to stand still. The relief and gratitude they felt upon receiving the news that their daughter had been found safe were beyond words. For Jonah, this event was a turning point in his life. The kindness he had shown years ago by rescuing a tiny lion cub being returned in such an unexpected way was an indescribable feeling. Maru's stance while guarding Amina reminded Jonah once again of the profound and meaningful connection he had with nature. In that moment, he understood that his work as a ranger wasn't just about protecting animals. It was also about building bridges between species, fostering understanding and respect. This event also marked a significant turning point for Masai Mara and the surrounding communities. The relationship between humans and wildlife had long been a delicate balance. Conflicts, hunting, and the shrinking of habitats were frequent issues. But Amina and Maru's story showed that this relationship didn't have to be solely based on conflict and fear. It proved that mutual respect, understanding, and even an unexpected bond of affection were possible. In the wake of this miraculous event, conservation efforts in Masai Mara intensified. People, moved by this incredible story, became more sensitive to nature. More conscious steps were taken to combat poaching, and new projects were launched to protect animal habitats. Amina and Maru's story had become a watershed moment, offering a new perspective on a relationship between humans and nature. But perhaps the most important lesson of this incredible story is that kindness can bloom in unexpected moments and unexpected places. Jonah's compassion toward a small lion cub years ago had ultimately saved a child's life. This event serves as a powerful reminder that every act of goodness we send out into the world will, in some way, eventually return to us. Sometimes, this kindness might not come back in the way we expect, or it might even come from a completely different source. But ultimately, every positive action we take creates a ripple effect in the world, and those ripples can impact our lives when we least expect it. Amina's story isn't just a tale of rescue. It's also a symbol of hope, courage, and resilience. Despite the terrifying moments she endured, alone in the vast wilderness with her tiny body, Amina managed to survive. Maru's protective presence gave her a sense of security, and Jonah's timely arrival ultimately saved her life. This event shows that even in the darkest moments, a glimmer of hope can exist and unexpected help can arrive. This story also highlights the power of children's innocence and animals' intuition. Amina's ability to sense Maru's calm and protective demeanor, despite her fear, formed the basis of their unexpected bond. The ability of animals to perceive human emotions and intentions is a scientifically proven fact. Maru's display of compassion toward Amina was an example of how animals can act not just on instinct, but also with emotional intelligence. So, what is the biggest takeaway from this unbelievable story? In my opinion, this story reminds us that there is still so much good in the world. In a world where news of cruelty and suffering often dominates the headlines, Amina and Maru's story shines like a beacon of hope. It shows us that even though we may be different species, even predator and potential prey, we can connect through shared emotions like love, compassion, and protectiveness. This story also underscores the vital importance of protecting and respecting nature. By safeguarding the habitats of wild animals and treating them with kindness and understanding, we can contribute to the possibility of similar miraculous events happening in the future. Let's not forget that nature isn't just a storehouse of resources. It's also a home to incredible beauty, secrets, and unexpected connections. Now I ask you, what part of this story resonated with you the most? Was it Maru's unexpected compassion, Amina's will to survive, or the way Jonah's act of kindness came full circle? Share your thoughts in comments below. To help more people hear this incredible story, please like and share this video. Perhaps you've even witnessed similar miraculous events in your own life. Please share your experiences with us. Remember, each of us can do something, no matter how small, to make the world a better place. Until the next inspiring story, stay connected with nature, stay filled with kindness,